Richard, I want to just play a clip. This is George Santos, the US Congressman in America, who tells more lies, I think, than anyone, even Boris and Trump put together. And it's a clip of what he said when I finally said, well, just admit what you are. I've been a terrible liar. I mean, would you be prepared to say that?
Sure. Like I said, well, I've been a terrible liar on those subjects.
What does it say about life that this guy's sitting in Congress and I'm a terrible liar?
And that's the only truthful thing he's probably ever said that anybody can remember. Yeah. What does it say? I think it says masses about Congress's inability to get rid of people. I mean, if that happened in the House of Commons, surely that person would be forced to resign.
I don't think anyone could seriously be an MP and just admit in a television interview, I am a terrible liar, and get away with it.
Well, I don't know. We have had some MPs that have been shown to be liars.
Who have actually brazenly admitted, almost proudly, I'm a terrible liar.
Well, maybe that's just the power of you interviewing him, Piers, that you managed to get him to say that. But things like, you know, in the House of Commons...
I'm now trying not to squeak because of him. You know what it does? Literally, you start to think, well, now I'm going to start squeaking.
We're not allowed to call people liars in the House of Commons, even when it's obvious that people are liars. We're a very strange, quaint country, I think. I hope we're more honourable, that you couldn't carry on being an MP if you'd admitted that you were a liar. But I don't know anymore. I think Boris Johnson has kind of blown everything up.
Are we living in a post-truth society now, where, I hate to say that, but are we living in a place where people like Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, a large constituency of people, don't care if they tell the truth?
I think that's probably always been the case. It was just that those people ended up in positions of power, that effectively people used to regulate their own behaviour in a way that perhaps modern leaders haven't. But if you look at Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, whatever you think of them politically, that is definitely a return to politics more as normal.
It is. And actually, I mean, you've got to say, Richard, whatever side of the divide you're on, they're both serious-minded people with serious backgrounds. They're not buffoons. They take their jobs seriously. They're conscientious. They're hard-working. You know, I just think I do feel reassured by that. I'm kind of done with the buffoon caricature stuff.
Oh, I think the country's done with the buffoon caricature stuff, without question. And people want serious politics. We've got some massive, massive challenges ahead of us. But it's interesting, you know, neither of them are great characters, but they're both diligent, they're both trying in their respective ways.
Do we need a great character to run the country?
I think everyone would just like
do we need competence
a bit of
diligence?
Stability and a bit of integrity, which we have had neither of. And, you know, I think there is a sense that Boris Johnson's a winner because he's charismatic and that's why people vote for him. And I think people have seen through all of that. I think people just want someone who can get us out of this terrible mess that we're in on so many different levels, in terms of Brexit, in terms of the strikes. There's so much that an intelligent, sensible mind can get their teeth into. I think that's what the country wants.
And Boris won because he was up against Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
And because Richard did him a favour. You know, there are reasons why Boris won. It wasn't purely that he was up against... Had he been up against a decent opponent and not been trying to get Brexit through, I think things would have been very different. But Rishi Sunak is an interesting person.
Can you do him?
Kind of, you know, he's very energetic. You know, I think that's pretty good, right? And it's a lot of management speak. You know, ours is a government of integrity and professionalism and accountability. And I think people say, hey, guys, that's what we want,
Which
right?
is the one, when you're on your tour and stuff, or doing the podcast and you start doing your impressions, which is the one that is the biggest crowd pleaser?
So it used to be Boris and Trump. They were the ones. And I would say Trump right to the end. You've got to do that, by the way, because...
by the way, it may not be the end. We might see him back in the White House.
People are saying it's the greatest ending ever, Piers, and I know you're one of those people. You're Mick Jam.
So I have to wait, because he can't...
My favourite bit with Trump was when he actually looked at his own inauguration and saw half the size crowd that was there for Obama and said, it was the biggest crowd ever seen. And when he was asked, he went, digital. Because people have watched online.
But it is hard to follow in terms of if you're structuring a comedy act.
So who's the big crowd pleaser now?
Keir Starmer at the moment.
Really?
The moment I do Keir Starmer, honestly, the moment you say, can the Prime Minister accept? I think it's partly because no one else is doing him.
Yeah.
And it's obviously Boris was impersonated to death, as was Donald Trump. So when there's someone new around and you're doing observational comedy about a person's behaviour, even the way he has his hand out at Prime Minister's questions at the Metropolitan Police, and the way that he says certain things.
Can Keir Starmer carry through 2 more years and win this election? Or is Rishi Sunak got his gander up with Brexit now, getting the deal actually done?
I think Rishi Sunak, this is the base level of what he had to achieve in order to stand a chance. I think with Nicola Sturgeon no longer being in position, it's a really unique position for Keir Starmer. It's his to lose.
He's
really.
got to show us what country he wants, Keir Starmer. He's got to stop now being the opponent and be, this is my vision for the country. Judge me accordingly. Great to see you. Matt, come back. That was great. Love that. Love a bit of comedy. God, we need a laugh, don't we?
We do need a laugh, absolutely.
You put some yards in today. Good to see you. And Jenny, lovely to see you, as always.